Welcome to Climate Channel, Climate Conversation with Kamrul Chaudhry, episode 69. You all know that the 1972 landmark Stockholm Conference on Human Development is now celebrating its golden jubilee. And the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, is marking its 50th anniversary. And right now, United Nations Environment Programme 5th Environmental Assembly is being held in Nairobi, Kenya, at its headquarters, with the ministerial representation from all the countries, all the parties. And we all know that after 1972 Stockholm Conference, the environmental agenda was unfolding in different parts of the world. And global environmental outlooks have also been published at regular intervals from United Nations Environment Programme. Many developed countries formed Environment Ministry, Conservation Ministry to avert environmental degradation, air pollution, water contamination, land degradation, ocean acidification, and also ozone depleting substances, dirty dozens, Mercury Convention, Rotterdam Convention, Ramsar Convention, Convention on Biological Diversity, Convention of Desertification and Land Degradation, Convention on Climate Change. And all these are now galvanizing momentums to arrest environmental catastrophes in all corners of this planet. We have one Mother Earth. We don't have two. We don't have Planet B. So without much ado, I would now like to ask Dunja, who has been a very bright environment specialist, climate change expert of her own right. She has joined at this conversation with Kamrul Chaudhry at Climate Channel. So welcome Dunja, and now your take, share your reflection, your thoughts, what you foresee. What are the milestones achieved so far by United Nations Environment Programme in last 50 years, or Stockholm Conference? What are the milestones or achievements of the Stockholm Conference?
Yes, I think you mentioned some of the most important UN conferences over the last 50 years, from 1972 UN conference in Stockholm, which now marks 50 years. And we are now preparing for the Stockholm Plus 50 conference, as well as the COP27, which is upcoming. What I would say is that this meeting has a great potential, because this is a meeting that truly helps us to unite all of the different conventions we have agreed upon during the years. We all have seen different agreements, but now it's time to actually, in terms of the decade of the action, implement our solutions and truly come together to work on the prosperous planet. And I think this is a great opportunity to address the international responsibility we all have, not only as individuals, but also as countries. to focus on implementation of these opportunities as well as the international agreements, and recognize the interconnectivity between different stakeholders and between policy issues. And what makes Stockholm Plus 50 conference very unique is actually that a lot of the minority groups, which weren't included in the previous discussions, are now being included on the national as well as international level. We see that we have in Nairobi now, in Kenya, representatives of youth, which are discussing important issues connected to, creating the prosperous planet for all, which is the actual motto behind the session. But we also see that a lot more women and indigenous people will be included in this process. And what really makes me happy is that we as citizens will have the opportunity to participate in creating Stockholm Plus 50 conference, even though we might not have, the accreditation to participate in person. We have the national consultation, which are open to all citizens. And I think that is what makes this conference quite unique.
Thank you very much, Dunja, for your initial reaction. Can you share, because you are a youth and you represent the youth community and you are from Europe, from Belgrade, Serbia. Say, what is your perspective? How do you foresee the say next 50 years? Because your generation or your next generation, they are going to be the most affected by environmental degradation, environmental catastrophes, from water pollution or contamination to air pollution, or say land degradation, or ocean acidification. So it is you who are going to be and are already victim of these environmental changes, environmental say catastrophes, environmental degradations. So say, how do you assess that? How do you foresee it? Say, based on your experience, say in last couple of years.
Right. So first, I'm going to start maybe on the global level. So last year, I participated in a Youth for Climate Summit in Milan, where I represented my country, Serbia. And I had this amazing opportunity to work with youth activists around the world. And what I've seen that some of them are very concerned for the future, especially people who are coming from indigenous communities, which are very much affected by the climate changes and rises in sea levels. But also, I saw some perspective which is quite different, which is quite optimistic, that we are catching up, we are doing mitigation and adaptation in the right way, and in the future we'll be able to more prepare for the changes which are coming. So when it comes to Serbia, we have actually, what most people don't know is the Western Balkans is quite vulnerable to climate change issues, especially because of the low economic size status. We are the country, Serbia is a country in development currently. So we are very much affected by the climate change. It is actually interesting that in Serbia in 10 years, 10,000 football terrains, I don't know how to say it in English, I hope that's right, are burned of the trees because of the tree fire, because of the forest fires. So the Serbia is very much affected, but working with youth in Serbia, I see very optimistic perspective. I think we are more educated than ever, more we realize that we have problem and we understand what we can take, what measures we can take in our personal life to help mitigate it. But as always, and with the rise of youth activism, we see the need for youth to be included in decision-making processes. And as I said, Stockholm Plus 50 is truly listening to the voices of youth, which allows them to have the platform to express their own opinions and help to develop, the path forward. So on the European level and as well as the Serbian level, I would say that we are more aware of the problem than ever. We are more than ever speaking about it, and I'm very much hopeful for what is about to come. We have great, amazing young people who are ready to work to create prosperous planet for all, which is the motto of Stockholm Plus 50.
So can you also share your, say, experience, your upbringing, especially how or who has influenced you or who have been influencing you to, say, conserve our fragile environment, ecosystem? Uh, say, who are, say, from your family, your parents, your mother or father, or say your siblings, or your teachers, your professors. So who are making significant influence in your life, especially as a conservationist, as a nature lover, or say environmental specialist, climate change specialist. Who are those people? Can you also share your own, say, upbringing?
As well, so I was born and raised, and I'm currently living in Serbia, in Belgrade. So when I was young, the environmental issues weren't something we were truly talking about, even though Belgrade just yesterday was on the list of top 5 most air polluted cities in the world. And in Western Balkans, it is shocking to hear that more than a couple thousand people during the span of 3 years die of the as a consequence of poor air quality. So we are living in a society that truly needs to change its ways. But the awareness of especially youth at that time wasn't really there, and we weren't really talking about environmental issues. My mother is a journalist, and my father has a business which is now it's a construction business. So I wasn't really I didn't grow up in the environment which was talking about this and taking environmental action. And then I joined European Youth Parliament. And for that, I actually had the opportunity to learn about these issues. And I realized how important it is to talk about it, to educate yourself and then educate others. And not quite a long time ago, I had this amazing opportunity to work with World Wildlife Forum, Adria, here in the Serbian region as an educator. So I had this opportunity not only to gather my knowledge for years of working in the area, but also to have the opportunity to work with youths who are now, some of them, in a position where I was years ago, just learning about environmental issues. So I think it is, we don't always need a role model, but if I would say my role model is definitely Vanessa Nakata, even though she doesn't come from my region. I think she's very much brave, and she's speaking up not only for the youth in her area, but also for the youth globally. And her words are very much powerful. They have an impact. And when you listen to her, you truly think about your choices, and not your choices, but the choices your government make and your country and the citizens in it. And it shows not the importance just of the global action, but of the small things we do in our each day. So if I have to choose my role model, I would say she's definitely my role model.
Thank you very much for sharing your role model, your upbringing, and also say learning a lot, especially joining the EU Youth Parliament, which has shaped your life in a say environment friendly or environment consciousness, climate change issues, and other related agendas unfolding in your say knowledge endowments. So to hear that, I think it's amazing, and other years of the globe will learn a lot from your experience. But can you also share your life with any rivers, any say ecosystems which also say help shape your river of life?
Well, I always loved being in the nature, and my grandmother is actually living in a small village. So often, for even months, we went there. I wouldn't say there weren't very much big rivers there, so I cannot say the river shaped me, but there were forests, and I enjoyed spending time alone in them, just looking around and appreciating the beauty of nature. Because I'm coming from the city, and when you're coming from a large city, we have 2 million people. Yeah, when you come to nature, it is something new for you, and it is especially a learning opportunity for somebody who's 5, 6, 7 years old, who hasn't been in nature before. So you are just mesmerized by the beauty of different natural patterns, by the beauty of hearing the birds, which isn't something you were used to, and also quite confused by how peaceful it is and how different way of life those people are actually living, which is quite more connected to the nature, So I wouldn't say that a river shaped me, but definitely in my case, that was the forest.
So what is your last message for UNEF's 50 years or 50th anniversary and Golden Jubilee of Stockholm Conference or United Nations Environmental Assembly? Though you couldn't join there physically or even virtually because of a registration problem. So what is your message?
Well, my message is, I know a lot of youth advocates weren't able to travel as I am. I wasn't, because I don't, the requirements to get in the country, I am not fulfilling, but I am taking part in the online program, which is quite amazing, because they're truly making sure that all the people who participate feel appreciated and heard. And to all the viewers, I would say, you still have the opportunity, I believe, till the March of 5th to join one of 3 working groups as a citizen, as a member of civil group or non-government organization, and youth as well. So any of the minority groups, and help to shape the conference. There are 3 working groups. One is, I believe, connected to the COVID-19 recovery. That is the one I would like to join. But there are also 2 other groups. You can look it up on their website. There are also national consultation. There will be a lot of opportunities, even though we don't all have the accreditation and possibility to travel, especially in the area, in the times where, we have the conflict in the Ukraine, we have everything going on with the COVID, which is hopefully coming to the end. But it is uncertain times. So I would say, you can take part, and why not? You can look it up on their website and learn more about it, and, take your role as a citizen in creating Stockholm Plus 50 conference.
Thank you very much, Dunja, for participating at this conversation with Kamrul Chaudhary, episode 69. Thank you very much. It was our pleasure to have you in this conversation. Hope to see you again, and great luck.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. All right, goodbye.
Bye.